welcome to the wrestling scene. How are we doing on audio? Do we have any? Excellent. Then this is a good start. Joining me tonight for the first time in quite some time, and he's got something to announce to the world out there, is Mr. Great Riki, and then we're going to have something else happen, too. Okay, Dylan, this is where you talk.
Hey.
We got all sorts of gold here tonight. Previously tonight, it was the PACCIE Awards, and he won one.
I won TV Personality of the Year.
Amazing, because he has none. But there's another winner here with us tonight, none other than Mr.
Greg Semino.
Can we play some entry music for Greg? It doesn't matter what, it'll be crazy anyway. They aren't paying attention. You're all fired. We need entry music for Greg. What we need is music for Greg so like we can hear, like Greg has an intro theme.
Put like the camera over here.
Just anything. Yeah, you can follow him. Go ahead, Melissa. If anyone in the control room actually uses some of the buttons, they can follow Greg coming in out of the
remember,
darkness.
you can still call in.
Yeah, you can call in to this, what we like to call, now it used to just be a bad show, but now it's a really bad show, so we're certainly hoping we can progress as follows. What are you doing? Okay, can we get a camera on there, and can someone in the control room take the shot of Greg? We want a Greg shot. No, Greg, why don't you come on over and sit down? Greg Semino, everybody. Greg Semino here, living in living color and outdressing everyone.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show. That's my mock lord.
Is this on?
You need to work on it.
Thanks, Rich, for having me.
And one thing I want to notice, I want you all to notice that if you come down here and you've spent a lot of time and know what you're doing, when you set up your show, you can have your microphone cords hanging over the desk. This is just
You can't even
awful.
tell.
No, you can't. No.
You can't really tell.
No, actually you can. But that's okay, though, because it's so well lit anyway.
That's
Anyway,
good.
tonight we begin a new era in the wrestling scene in that our longtime producer, director, and all-round swell guy, Michael Cunningham, is no longer going to make the long journey down from Framingham every Wednesday. So it looks like I'm
And why is
stuck with
that?
these guys because Mike has other commitments.
No.
I'm at a loss for words.
I think I was talking. I was. Anyway, one thing I'd like to point out is that it is about 3 million degrees in this studio. Anyone else feel like it's hot in this studio?
I'm
It's
like
hot in here, Nelly.
I'm like fried.
Do we? You know what? Since we've got a phone call already, and I believe I don't know the person's name, but they had called a while ago and they wanted to get on and ask some wrestling questions. Let's have them come on up now. Caller, you are on the air. Hello?
Hey there.
Hello?
Hello,
Hey.
that could probably be turned down slightly.
Not you. Just
Hi, can we help you? What would you like to talk about? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you want to talk about?
Are you on the air?
We are on the air,
Okay.
and we are feeding back, so everything's going swimmingly so far.
I had a couple of questions. I have a list here in front of me.
Okay.
I want to ask you guys. I was wondering if you could tell me about Jake the Snake. Tell me what you know about his life. And was his life really as bad? I've read websites on his life.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he was, his mother was raped and he was the result of that, from what I understand. And I was just wondering if you could tell me about Jake the Snake's life and is he in the UK now? And just tell me a little bit about his life.
Boy, you know what? I don't know exactly what he's doing now. Jake the Snake Roberts has a mind for the business virtually unrivaled by anyone else.
What
If
happened?
he had been able to keep himself straight and avoid some of his personal demons, he would have been about the biggest star in wrestling around. I mean, way back in Hulkamania days, when Hulk was huge, they started a program with he and Jake, and the problem was at that point everyone was cheering Hulk, just ridiculously cheering for Hulk, except when he wrestled Jake. And then with the DDT just being sort of debuted in WWF anyway, he really had a huge crowd reaction that was unbelievable. Dan and I actually were at one of the 2 matches he had against Hulk Hogan.
Really?
Because after they had 2 matches, They didn't want him wrestling Hogan anymore because he was so far over.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, he was getting all the pops as if he was the good guy, and he was the heel, and that was not what Vince or Hogan had planned. He was a guy of enormous talent. For the life of me right now, I can't think of his father's name. Guys?
It was, I can't remember his name. His father apparently was a wrestler, though.
He was a big guy.
So,
I can't
Was
remember the name of what his father's name was.
It was his Faja.
so,
Thank you, Greg.
so what happened with Jake's mom and his?
Hey, what about
He
Jake the
was a
Snake's?
product of a
What about
rape.
his pants? They were specially made so he could slither in and out of the ring.
Are you making that up?
No.
Okay.
Serious.
Cool.
That was one of his moves. He'd slide in and out
He
of the
did,
ring.
yeah. That unfortunately.
And then he'd
that
go get
counted
the
as a
bag
move.
of snakes and dump it on
Yep.
you.
And my other question with him is, why was he never a main eventer?
Well, he was sort of a main eventer. He just was never. He never reached the level he should have. Like I said, behind the scenes, his mind for booking and that kind of thing was fantastic. He would still be in a major role today. Biggest thing that got in his way was a lot of problems with drugs
Yeah.
and different things, and that stopped him from getting the pushes he would have gotten. And of course, if you're in the wrong promotion at the wrong time, you're not going to be pushed to the absolute pinnacle because there's going to be other people in front of you who don't want you there. As far as a worker goes, wasn't the best worker in the world, but was a decent worker and was way over with the fans. I mean, obviously you remember him, and it's been a long while since he had a major match anywhere. Trying to
The
think.
last one was in '96, I believe, wasn't it? At
Yep.
The,
Right,
Survivor
where
Series or something?
Survivor Series, where he jobbed to Austin.
yeah, yeah.
And that was really the birth of Austin. In fact, that is where Austin uses the Austin 316 line, because at that point, Jake, who had been reborn during one of his brief interludes where he wasn't on something, actually had done. Somebody help me with who's got the 316 thing. Is that John? Melissa, you got to
John.
know this stuff.
That is John
Is it
316.
John 316?
Yeah.
Okay, well, whoever's. Right, religious question. Who's 316?
It's John 316. Rise
It
up
is
and
John?
go down. Or something
Okay,
like that.
and Austin then came up with his famous 316.
You wanna know how I know that?
316 says, "I just whooped your ass." Yeah.
It's on a plunger.
Well, do you think Jake the Snake will make a comeback?
He'll show up somewhere. I would be surprised if you don't see him somewhere on either TNA or.
Isn't he old?
He's pretty old, so I mean he's not going to make a huge comeback, but he still tours and does the independent scene around. He probably gets paid pretty well for it. He is not the most reliable guy, though.
Was Life as Sad as the website say it was?
What's that?
Was Life as Sad as the website claims?
Probably pretty much close, yeah. In fact, they did a nice feature on him in the movie Beyond the Mat, which is
Yeah.
definitely...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to say I read about that, and he claims it was all lies.
If you see it, you will believe that there is somebody lying, and it would be him. Boy, do you guys remember his name? Do you guys... His father's name is still bothering me. But
I wish I had the computer in front of me. I saw it recently.
he had a pretty tough life, both from that and some other stuff that just went on forever. His daughters don't speak to him, or his daughter doesn't speak to him, or hasn't for a long time. Actually, if you can rent or get a copy of Beyond the Mat, it is absolutely worth watching. Fantastic film. The other two features, one of them is some indie guys. One, in fact, now works in Noah, I think. Correct, guys? Mike Modest in Noah? I can't see if you're nodding or anything. Okay. And the other feature is on Terry Funk, and during one of his 987 retirements. By the way, Terry Funk is still wrestling, and they were asking about when he was going to retire recently, and he doesn't know.
Really?
Yeah, it's what he does. And as far as that goes, Funk is one of the guys who hasn't really gotten into using any illegal drugs. On the other hand, he drinks about a gallon of stuff a day.
Really?
A heavy drinker instead.
Gallon of milk?
No. Gallon of like scotch, bourbon, beer, whatever he can get. Actually, you know what? I don't know what he drinks, but that's...
Hey, what about the Snake Pit? Wasn't that like his talk show?
The Snake
Yeah.
Pit was basically a sort of a copy, if you will, of Piper's Pit.
Well, I'm not
And yeah,
sure.
it was
was that
what
called
Jake
the Snake Pit?
I think it was, yeah.
And then he had like
It
some
was
kind of
Snake Pit.
volcano in the middle of it.
Yep.
It was like way better than Piper's, you know.
One of the matches I remember back in the Garden back in '86.
Wow.
I remember
Yep.
in August of '86 was when he was against Steamboat, Ricky Steamboat.
Yep.
That was one of my favorites, I think, of all time.
Now, was that on television? Was that a big televised match?
It was, I don't. Yeah, actually, it was Saturday night's main event.
Because that might have been. Is that the? I see. Dan would know absolutely, and I'm not going to be positive on this, but there was a match against Steamboat where he knocked out Steamboat legit, gave him a concussion with the DDT,
Yeah,
and
I
that might have been
remember
it. You know, he was a guy who had all unlimited potential and just never realized what he could have done. What are you doing?
This is my Jake the Snake.
Yep.
Where is Steamboat these days?
Steamboat has.
This is Jake the Snake coming at you.
Wow.
That's what he used to do. He put the snake on you.
Yes, he would.
That was like a boa. He had like a
Steamboat was working in NWA TNA, at least in some capacity. He was involved at one show. I don't remember if he wrestled. Do you guys remember if he wrestled at all? Has he wrestled for them yet?
I think he
Ring
was
of
in.
Honor
I
has
think he was
done
in
now?
boxing.
Because he had, a while ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, he was NWA TNA. I guess he's got some involvement now in Ring of Honor. He's a guy who, an incredibly talented athlete, and was a level of athlete at the point when he was starting his rise that most people hadn't seen, because he was a smaller heavyweight in really tremendous condition. Yes, what, Dylan? Oh boy. Bill the Pant Splitter's here. If you're of Bill the Pant Splitter fame, if you're familiar with him, but Steamboat was a guy who never loved the business all that much.
Really?
I mean, he was excellent and made a ton of money wrestling Flair in the basically forever, but particularly from about 78 to 81, they wrestled just so many times it's ridiculous, and they had a huge feud then, and then in 89 the feud was relived. And then they had tons of matches there. I would bet that Flair jobbed to Steamboat as many times as he did to anyone, and there were a lot of them.
Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect are no longer living, right?
That is correct.
And Rick Rude died of a heart attack.
Yes, he did. I believe he was 45, 46-ish, was training to get back into shape, and if you read between the lines of training to get back into shape, you could suggest that maybe he was involved in a baseball scandal, if you know what I mean.
Can you explain further?
Yeah.
I got a Mr. Perfect move I can do right now.
No, thanks, Greg.
Go ahead.
No, it's really quick. It's really quick.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Remember when he had the gum,
Yeah.
and then he tried to hit it as you swat it? I've been
Yeah.
practicing. But he'd miss a lot of times too.
He's a talent, isn't he, folks? I don't know. Find it, though. Let's see. Steroid use. Probably for both of them. Definitely for
Rick Rude?
Rude, it played a part. Most likely, anyway. Definitely is overstated. But a
Well,
lot of those guys. Does anyone remember? Did Perfect die of a heart attack as well? Drugs? Yeah. Yeah, so.
He got arrested?
Yeah, his cardiac got arrested.
It's cardiac.
His heart stopped.
What?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
I have another question.
I can't figure that out right now. Let me think about it. Yes.
You know the old matches that used to, you remember primetime wrestling with Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan? And they used to show the matches from the old Boston Garden.
Yeah.
Is there any way to get a hold of those matches?
He's got to have them. Vince has to have them. And as his 24-hour channel, WWE 24/7 comes on, it's definitely a chance that we'll see some of those.
Yeah.
Executioner may have been Rikishi. There was some guy who was was an executioner thing, but I don't remember if that's the name he went by. That was Rikishi. My brain's freezing right now on that.
Rikishi?
I don't know.
Question on The Rock.
Yes.
Do you feel that The Rock, kind of because of his father and grandfather, do you feel he got a free ride in his success?
He got a start probably a little bit quicker than most people would get, but having said that, once he got there, the first year and a half he was booed horrifically. His first match out, I believe, was a Survivor Series match. Isn't that right, guys?
Back in '96.
Yeah. And at that point, I would say yes, but after that, he had to earn more of his way into people's hearts, if you will, and he definitely had the charisma.
I'd say he had a tougher time because of his dad.
It's both.
Because his dad was
There's
his first trainer, right?
Yep.
Started him out,
Yep.
worked him harder.
It's a little bit of both, because you do get the jump.
I know my dad's hard on me.
Thanks, Greg. What ends up happening is, you do get your foot in the door, but once you get there, then you have to prove yourself, and there's a lot of people who are going to want to see you fail, basically, because of that.
Yeah, I know now he's trying to become an action star, and it just seems like, his
He
rise
is an
to
action
stardom-
star.
Yeah,
he is.
it just seems like his rise to stardom was pretty easy compared to some who might want to try that.
Well, yeah, he had started out with the Florida Hurricanes, got injured. Boy, I can't remember what the injury was. I believe it was a leg injury, but I
think
could be
shoulder,
wrong. Maybe it was, but I think it was. Regardless, it debilitated him. And the funny thing is, you can be a pro wrestler with a lot less physical ability still remaining than you can be a professional football player. So he missed the draft, and then he was drafted and went into, I want to say, the Canadian Football League briefly, and got cut from there, I believe. And at that point, didn't know what he was going to do, and then decided maybe this whole family business thing wasn't an idea. Because, of course, his grandfather wrestled as well.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I go back 20 years watching wrestling. I'm just wondering where all these people have, I know about some of them. King Kong Bundy, what's happened to him?
Indie shows. 5-6 years ago, he wrestled in the Marshfield Fair, in fact.
He was on Married with Children once, too.
Well, there's a career move.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Most of these guys don't go away. Where's their other career option? Let me give you a hint, and to quote a Danism, if you will. Most of them aren't skipping any Mensa meetings to be wrestling. So a lot of them, that's what they can do and what they know, and so they'll still be looking at it. And a guy like that can, work 4 or 5 nights, maybe a week, if he can find that much, but a couple nights a week, get paid $400 or $500 for an appearance. At a lot of the indie shows, the name talent get a decent amount of money. Could be less than that, and nobody else gets paid hardly anything.
Now, I remember a few years ago, Snuka and Piper, they were
Yep.
trying to restart that feud again.
Yep.
That never really continued. What happened with that?
Nobody cared, really. I mean, the people who cared had either stopped watching and moved on or needed bifocals. No, seriously, the interest in it just wasn't there. The problem is a lot of these older guys, first off, they can't work at the same rate that the new guys do, with the crazy moves in particular. Secondly, it's harder for them to reach out to the younger fans because the younger fans see them as being very old. The problem is that they're the only ones that matter. Hogan still matters more than, let me see him,
Now, is Hogan going to make a
everyone. Hogan is already involved in some stuff. I am expecting Hogan to end up being one of the guys who, when the no-compete clause runs out with TBS, Hogan's going to be one of the guys that Turner uses to start up wrestling again, would be my bet. No, nothing to solid on
Where
that.
is Hogan?
What else has Hogan been doing, guys? You remember anything?
He's fronting his daughter she's like
he
a
is.
pop
He
star.
is backing his daughter doing her pop star thing. That's
Yeah,
true.
I saw something on that.
It was at the Dartmouth Mall.
Were they?
Yeah. I couldn't go down and see it, but he was like the main attraction. Oh, she's singing what?
Yeah. Well.
But what he's breaking out is all the legends. I mean, where's
He
all the
is.
baseball legends? They had their time and now they're gone.
Yep.
Bundy, it'd be great to see him again, but
Now, there's
nobody
going to
wants
be, at this next WrestleMania, another Piper's Pit.
Yeah.
Is Piper's trying to, it sounds like he may be trying to make a comeback.
Piper's another guy that matters. Because of that, they're going to keep trying to figure it and see if something sticks. I don't know what they're going to do with this. I don't know where you go with it. He's had a replacement hip since about 96, 98, so he can't take any major bumps. Not that he want to anyway, but, I don't know. The problem is you've got to get some of your younger talent and do something with them. The problem has been that the only younger talent they probably could have done a lot with is The Rock, and he's decided to have a real job.
Yeah.
And some of the other guys, any other human, including, I believe, Greg, if he were pushed in WWE today as hard as they pushed Triple H, would be a bigger star.
Which is Greg?
Greg right here. No, Dylan Riki, he's still a little young, but he'd be a bigger
Just check
star
out
anyway.
these guns, all right, man.
Yeah,
Just check out these guns.
yeah, filled with water. Anyway,
Water guns,
anything
squirt
else?
guns.
By the way, did we get your name?
Oh, my name is Fraser.
What was
My
it?
name's Fraser, like the TV show.
Frazier, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said Wrangler, like the jeans.
No. One of my questions was
Yeah.
with you guys, and I talked. What's your name? I know there's two of you with the short hair.
This one?
Yeah, you.
That's Greg.
Hello,
And what's your name?
Greg.
No, the other one.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm the Great Riki.
Okay.
Well, this is really his show.
Because I spoke to you around earlier this evening, and
Yes, you did.
I was wondering if
I'm Jake the Snake Roberts. Hello.
I was
And I'm
wondering
Dylan Riki.
I was wondering if it would be possible to try to work with you guys at some level. I'm looking for work.
Yeah.
I love wrestling.
Well, work is one of those words that implies someone's getting paid to do this, and there's no money involved in this. But
No, there's
definitely, if you have some interest, we can talk later on. In fact, when you get off the line with us, they can take down your number, and I can give you a call tomorrow sometime.
Okay.
All right, and we can see what we can hook up and work out. We're looking for a new director, I think, in there.
Okay.
Actually, those guys are doing a pretty good job tonight. What they need to do, Greg, though, if I were them, I'd cut back a little bit on the sound coming out to the studio
Yeah.
and make sure our mics weren't, so we stopped.
I was just
the
gonna say
feedback.
I'm looking for a punching bag.
Now, what about Santana and Valentine and those guys?
Same type thing. Boy, I don't know how many of them are doing anything. Santana,
I know they're.
Chico's been around, right?
He's making records with Matchbox 20, I think. The guy from
I haven't heard anything with
Carlos
Greg Valentine,
Santana.
though. Did both of them do some Legends thing in the last
Tito
couple of years in
Santana.
WWE? Santana and Valentine, weren't they both on some match?
Pan Am Connection.
They were inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's right.
Another question I just thought of: why now? You know, it's all filled with fireworks, and you know, back 10, 15 years ago, there was never fireworks and all that. Why more fireworks? And I find that tiring to watch each week.
It kind of is, but somebody decided. Well, where it sort of originates is Antonio Inoki in New Japan Pro Wrestling started making things, trying to add more drama to it and stuff. So he's the one that really began with a lot of the merchandising, the pyrotechnics, and also, and I'm losing the phrase, the entrance music. So now it's become a big deal, and this is how they open their show, and
Now it's like sports entertainment.
it is, yeah, well, yeah.
Before it was wrestling. And what about all those divas, huh? You didn't have that before.
Do you?
He's right.
In your opinion, do you like it with the fireworks or the way it was, 15 years ago?
I know what you're saying about it being, there's a
gets
point
tiring
where it's
week
just,
after week to watch the fireworks.
I agree, I mean, it gets repetition. I'll tell you, in the arena, the closed-in smaller arenas, it's a lot of fun because a cloud of the smoke hangs for about the first hour and a half. And it actually is hard to see through.
Yeah.
I like them on July
So-
4th.
What's your
Yeah.
opinion on the main event with Triple H and Batista?
Well, by far the better wrestler in that match, mind you, in-ring wrestling, is Triple H. And anytime you can say by far
The game.
the game is better than someone by a lot, and by as much as he is better than Batista, it can't be a good match. I would think you really need to put Batista over. Having said that,
H.
I don't know if they're going to. I mean, Triple HGH is one guy, but I mean, he's not even the same class of steroid user that Batista is. And that's really what Batista has going for him is I'd like to call him a genetic freak, but he's more a chemical freak.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
Humans don't get that big. They just don't.
yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else. What's happened to Cowboy Bob?
Cowboy Bob Orton, he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame as well, didn't he?
I think he's about to. I'm not sure.
And you know, he was never a huge star, but he was a secondary star. Don't do that with the mic. But he, I mean, he's probably around too. I haven't seen much of him though in the last couple of years. He came back at one point as well, but since then I don't know.
Yeah.
There's somewhere, I can't remember the website. I can talk to Dan and find out. But there's a website that tracks some of these guys and sees what they're doing. For the most part, if they're doing anything in wrestling, they're probably either working behind the scenes for WWE or a development group for them, or they're just they're doing some indie shows. But a lot of those guys are pushing, you know, probably pushing hard at 60 at this point.
Yeah. Now, Triple H, he's recently married to Stephanie McMahon.
Not that recently now, but yes, they are married,
They
and
are
the marriage has lasted longer than all of Michael Jackson's.
Oh.
Oh, man.
So yeah, he has, and that's what I like to refer to that as. That is called job security. When you're married to the boss's daughter, as long as you don't screw up and get divorced, it's job security.
I imagine he's going to have to, kiss a lot of butt, though.
Well, I think that that goes on every day in WWE, and that's why the people who do are working for WWE. The people who don't are working elsewhere at this point, or not working. I mean, certainly, doesn't he have a nice cough? Out of curiosity, have you guys decided to cut his mic yet during the coughing? Just a suggestion there.
It adds something to the show.
It does. Whoa, Andrew's figured out how to talk to me. All right, now we got things going. Hey, do you guys have a signature yet? I mean, Mike had color bars. You guys have anything?
How do you do?
I can tell you where 2 wrestlers
I don't know. We'll find out if they have their own signature yet or not.
Oh, it went
what were we
screen to
at?
black.
Ah, good.
That's a nice signature.
Do you have anything else?
No, that's about it.
All right.
That's a lot of questions I just had about the older generation.
Yeah, they're out there and they're hanging on in some way. It's just a question of how much validity they have in today's wrestling world. And I guess we'll find out. Anyway, thanks for calling. We'll catch you again, Frazier.
Okay.
Thanks,
You
Frazier.
want me to give you my name and number, or?
Yeah, off the air because you don't need to be prank called like we're about to.
Okay. All right. So, how should I leave it with you guys?
All right. What's going to happen is we're going to lose you. You're going to pull him down there, and you're going to pick up the receiver, guys, and talk to him and get his name and number, and we'll go from there. And for a while, I'm going to let these two talk.
Okay.
They're not going to say much of any valid thing, probably, but they're... Except Greg just left.
All right. Well, it's nice talking with you guys.
All right, take it easy, Frazier. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Frazier?
That was my rock impression. The
That was fantastic.
people's elbow or something.
You didn't win Personality of the Year, did you?
No, he did.
That would explain why. What do we got going?
Burn.
All right, they're taking that information. Let's see. I don't have ratings numbers because we are on the fly tonight, seeing as we just are going on after the PACTV's annual PACCIE Awards. 2 big winners here. Greg Simino for Creative Innovation. Oh, you know what I just You didn't just do that. You did not just do that.
Hey, I just saw
And
X-Pac
Dylan
on the
Riki.
Surreal Life.
You know what I just realized?
And that's
not
why I brought
touting
that
my
back.
own Great Riki horn,
I'm bringing
of
back
course.
X-Pac.
But you know what you guys did?
What?
You guys just won 2 awards that had for the previous 4 years been won by someone else sitting at this table.
You. So we really have you to thank.
That's right.
Thanks, Rich, for letting us win
Thanks,
an
who?
award. Great Riki.
That's right. Dylan, you're right. You're so right. And as soon as you get that information, let's hang that up on that so we can get another caller in. Actually, if Bill the Pants Splitter... Greg, don't you have to leave?
I do, actually.
Because when you leave, Bill the Pants Splitter can come on out.
That's excellent.
See, that way we're
decision.
going to have rotating
Plus,
guests
they want me
here.
back at the ward.
Yeah. Anyway,
I only get a certain time amount out of here.
yeah, it's dark somewhere. Yeah, obviously Greg is the best dressed of us, but that wouldn't be difficult dealing with the fact that it's Dylan and I.
I was going to do like a Michael Buffer to bring him out. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Bob the Pants Splitter.
Bill the Pants Splitter.
Bob the Builder, build his plant splitter in this main event. Are you ready to rumble? Bill the Pant Splitter.
All right, with an entrance like that, I gotta hope he actually comes on.
Hey, Joe, did you see Surreal Life with X-Pac and China Doll?
I saw a little
he
bit
was
of
such a
that.
jerk. I was like, get
I didn't see
here.
that part. I saw a bunch of them leading up to that.
to China. Oh, I just want to talk to China.
Put the mic back in the mic stand.
That's cool. It's cool.
Just be about 5 more seconds. Just give us 5 more minutes, and we gotta say goodbye.
All right.
Do we have a caller? Oh, it's April. April, are you medicated?
Oh,
Yes, she is.
She's medicated. Excellent. Then you're watching the right show. Has it been entertaining so far?
Actually, I just tuned in.
We just walked in the door, actually.
Okay, this is where you're supposed to lie and say that it was good.
I'm happy to see Greg Simino. He's awesome.
You know, everyone's happy to see Greg Simino leave.
Actually, Riki, we're recording.
Wait, what?
We have what?
What, April?
We set the VCR for you because
Well, of course you
you
do.
won't be home.
Yeah, we just got home. We recorded the first part.
Well, how are you feeling, April? Is everything good?
Yeah, somewhat.
Oh, somewhat. Does that
Yeah,
mean
I
you've
got
just come from the hospital, or
No,
that you don't
no.
figure you'll be
No,
going
that
till
was
tomorrow?
earlier.
What's
was
that?
Earlier.
That was earlier. When? Earlier, like today?
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually went to South Shore instead of Jordan.
Oh, so you didn't go to the hospital in training.
No.
Ouch. Wow.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let Chris talk to you. Okay.
Always a pleasure to speak to you.
Hi, Riki.
Hey, how you doing, Sandy?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Hi, Dylan.
hey, Sandy.
All right.
You know, did you guys hear?
Hear what?
Mike Cunningham deserted us.
Is he all right? He's a trooper. He's usually there all the time.
Well, Mike has, well, you know what? I can talk about this. It can get out there, so I'm going to let it out in the air. Mike Cunningham is about to be a daddy.
Oh, good for him.
He is.
He is?
Ah,
Yes, we do. And aside from the fear that this probably courses through the veins of every living being,
A daddy to what?
Leave it to her to say that.
more Quaaludes, I would suggest. Anyway, you coming on, or are you just going to yell from the doorway?
Who's that, Bill?
Bill the pants splitter. He's being a coward. See, he doesn't want to be out there
come
and
on,
be seen.
Bill.
He can come on TV as long as his pants aren't split.
Well, if his pants were split, there'd be a reason for him to be on TV. Best thing about Bill being on camera is I look better by the minute. Anyway,
Hey, Riki, I have a question for you.
yeah.
I was watching Jerry wrestle, and I was thinking, you know how they talk to each other before they go in the ring? And
Yep.
How do they do that with him if he can't speak English?
Well,
Funaki.
the big secret here is most of those Japanese guys, particularly if they're working in an industry where they go overseas and are working with Americans all the time, and he has been working with Americans even in Big Japan and did he work in ECW? Not much.
Yeah, he
he's
did.
he's been working with guys for a long time. So they all
he's gotta
speak
speak English.
better English than you would think. Not necessarily tremendously good English, but better English than you would necessarily think. Certainly enough to communicate the basics of what they're going to do. And you don't talk that much about stuff. You figure out normally what the finishing sequence is going to be, and a lot of that now is even written by Stephanie, which is why it's so compelling. And then aside from that, they'll work it out in the ring and work out stuff. A lot of it's not as choreographed beforehand as you would think.
Oh.
So, like, if American wrestlers go over to Japan, it's almost the same thing, too?
Yes, although the general feeling of Japanese wrestlers is that working with Americans in general means that they're going to have to work twice as hard for half the success.
Oh, wow.
Because the American wrestlers aren't necessarily going to carry their weight in the ring. They feel this, and it should be pointed out that they're probably completely wrong, other than the fact that they're right.
Huh? I'm hanging up now.
All right, you're confused now, aren't you?
Yeah, a little.
Excellent.
Bye.
Then I've accomplished my mission.
I was also wondering, like,
Uh-huh.
wrestlers like Chris Benoit and stuff that wrestle over in Japan, do they
Yes.
know how to speak Japanese?
Probably at least somewhat,
Yeah.
but maybe not as much as you think. You would think. I think the Japanese wrestlers probably know a lot more English than they do Japanese. Same thing with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
It's another language. It's a harder language to learn if you're not immersed in it. That's the big thing.
So Eddie Guerrero must know, like, Spanish.
He definitely knows Spanish.
Yeah, Japanese.
Probably knows at least a smattering of Japanese. I mean, they aren't Steffi Graf. You know, they don't speak 7 languages fluently.
That's true.
Again, they're pro wrestlers.
Yeah.
No Mensa meetings missed.
So the reason I brought this up is I
Yep.
don't know if you heard about this. A couple weeks ago on Raw, Kane, one of your favorite wrestlers, hit Tyson Tomko, another favorite wrestler, with a ladder, and he had to get stitched up backstage. So they had footage of this on WWE.com. Well, while they were stitching him up in the background, you could hear Batista and Snitsky discussing their match next. Like, all right, now I'm going to do this, and you're going to do that.
That was probably a good thing to show, huh?
Yeah, I know, huh?
Well, let's protect kayfabe. Well, it's definitely a different era.
Yeah.
You know, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, you wouldn't have gotten near any tape like that. They wouldn't have dared have it out because if you realized wrestling might not be totally real,
Yeah.
you might change the channel and never watch it again because you know, if it wasn't real, then what would be the sense in watching it?
Exactly. And Vince wonders why his ratings aren't that well.
Yeah, well, let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
There's always, when wrestling really gets boring, you can always just do this.
Change the channel. Oh, yeah, exactly. Actually, those races have been really exciting lately.
Oh, they sure are. Wow, driving in a circle, that's pretty tough.
I'm amazed about how they go to the bathroom.
Oh, now I don't know this.
You know? Bill must know something about it.
What do? They wear Depends, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, this is a sport for men. You know, it'd be better if we could hear him, but it's not really necessary. You know what? No, it wouldn't be better if we could hear him. It's perfect the way it is, guys. Good job. Bill's in there talking, but since he's too much of a coward to come on set,
Who cares?
There you go. I was just wondering that question.
Burned.
yeah, it is interesting what they let out now, and you know, they can communicate enough. I don't know how much they work. The most choreographed match probably in history was the match between Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they went over that forever to make it not totally suck.
Oh, wow.
And it was a pretty good match. Horrifically overrated in the sense that everyone expected absolute crap and it was halfway decent, or maybe even better than that. So it got more rating, more consideration as being a better match than it actually was.
So is that why?
Having said that, they were both also huge at the time,
Yeah.
figuratively and literally.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't think Hogan ever took steroids, do you?
Actually, he admitted that he did, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do, actually. Hey, did you see Mark McGuire at the congressional hearing?
You know, I missed that and
Oh,
don't
my
care.
God.
What happened? What happened?
He looked like a small man.
Yeah, well, guess what? That's what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not surprised. I think Canseco's number of 75% using it was probably a little low.
Yeah.
This does. I mean, if you've listened to Dan and I, we've been talking about this forever.
Exactly.
I mean, in this, obviously, football, which, by the way, because of football's stringent testing policy now, nobody's using steroids, supposedly. You know, I don't know when. This is my big acid test for this, choice of words. You got Jack Lambert and Jack Ham, two of the Steel Curtain defense in the late 70s, right?
Yeah.
Jack Ham weighs 234 as a linebacker. Jack Lambert weighs about 255. Those guys are as small as cornerbacks or safeties now.
Wow.
I mean, and people haven't grown that much bigger naturally. It just doesn't happen. And, you know, it's just, not only that, but you got a guy who's, you know, bigger than that by 50 or 60 pounds who's running faster than them.
Exactly.
And I mean, you know, you got guys running 40s in ridiculous times for the size they are. And the big argument we used to always hear, well, if they took steroids, they wouldn't be fast. They'd be all bulky and whatever. To which my immediate response is Michael Thompson.
Exactly.
Michael Thompson goes in the Olympics, and all of a sudden, by using steroids, remember, the same thing that was going to slow you down, suddenly becomes the fastest man in history of the world, setting a world record and beating Carl Lewis. Now, since he never did it before and the steroids helped him, I don't think they made him slower. It's crazy. I know I put this stuff together. I haven't missed any Mensa meetings either lately. I didn't want to go. But
That's pretty interesting.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So
But,
with all this going on, why doesn't Batista look at it all and say, "What am I doing?"
because Batista
Yeah,
isn't missing any Mensa meetings.
this is true.
I am bigger now. People are paying me because I'm bigger.
Yeah,
And my other job could flip hamburgers being bigger.
exactly.
I think he's going to stay doing what he's doing. The biggest thing is, I'm not going to say steroids wouldn't hurt you, but I think the real issue is there's most of these guys, again, with their severe physicist training and medical backgrounds, what they figure is, well, if 10 cc's of this makes me bigger, if I took 1,000 a day, that would make me even bigger. And basically, they OD themselves on these things and end up having a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Remember, steroids are used medically, a lot of them, and many of them are still legal over the counter. It's the anabolic steroids that are not, but there are plenty of other steroid types that are still legal over the counter drugs. It's a question of how you're using them and the amount you're using.
They gave
Remember, everything in moderation.
Yeah, exactly. They gave April prednisone, which is also a steroid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what in all this discussion, you know what nobody has ever said other than me,
What?
and, well, Dan, of course,
Yeah.
is, you know this Andro stuff that Mark McGuire took?
Yeah.
You know, it's not a steroid, and people have said it isn't. It is not a steroid technically. What it does, however, is mask steroid use. Now, why do you suppose he was using that?
To mask the steroid use.
You know, Chris, I know where you were.
You just said it.
I know where you were. You were at a Mensa meeting, weren't you? That's what you were in late for because of that. Hey, that's some beautiful feedback. That's it. You guys, it's all over for you guys. You can work on that
Fine.
lame-ass VSP show, Video Sports page, but as far as me, we got professional stuff going on here.
Fired.
Yep. Dylan Trump, you're fired.
There you go.
We just changed his last name to whatever use. What?
Fired.
He's got the finger down.
The 4 people watching the show won't complain.
Oh, believe me, there's more than 4 people watching the show because there's 3 at their house alone.
Exactly. Watching it.
See, so
My
we got at
brother
least
watches
6
it.
or 7 people watching. I don't know. What do you think about these table mics? Are you able to pick them up pretty good?
I am.
They sound lovely.
No, not pick them up like this. Are you able to actually hear these mics when we're talking?
Oh. Okay.
It looks very Imus.
It's also very phallic in nature, but that's a beautiful part about it. Very Deadwood. Anyway,
Well, thank you for talking to me. We'll let somebody else call in.
well, you know, the best thing about when you're on the phone,
Yeah.
nobody else can call in.
Yeah, I know. That's true, actually.
So far, we've had 2 good calls, and we've eaten up a full 48 minutes of this show, which is good in the sense that that means there's only 12 minutes left of this disaster.
There you go.
And I'm not calling it a disaster because our control room has done a poor job. No, I'm saying not because you've done a poor. Let me rephrase that.
Oh, God. Mike
You
would be
guys have
proud.
done a fine job, is what I'm trying to say.
Mike would be
I mean,
proud.
let's face it. This is their first time out having to do this by themselves.
Exactly.
The
glad I
the
got
person who
that
was supposed to help guide them in this was a no-show, so they're dead. They're written off my Christmas list. It's over. And I think they've done a very admirable job. Now, I would expect that they're going to have to get a lot better if they want to work with Carl A. Pratt.
Yeah.
And the A is, never mind.
It's not amateur, that's for sure.
No, it's not amateur.
No. Not
There should be an L in there somewhere for Lilliputian.
There
But
you go. All right, since
Yes.
you're going to keep me on the line, let's talk about the big show Akibono match.
the big slow against a guy who's even bigger and slower. This makes for some good television. So you got a guy who weighs about 400 pounds against a guy who weighs about 700 pounds. Neither one can move. Neither one can wrestle, and we're going to occupy my time with that. That sounds fantastic. You know the best thing about sumo matches?
What's that?
They're under a minute long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, most of the time they're under a minute long. These guys crash into each other, use the sumo moves, and there's all sorts of things. Very traditional sport in Japan, and they're under a minute long. There's a lot of setup to them, very traditional stuff involved there, a lot of ceremony, and then they go and whack each other, and the big guy pushes the littler guy out. It's amazing how that works.
In Japan, are they like revered as like?
They are revered as virtual demigods there. Yeah, they're a big deal. More so even
they're,
before.
Like viewed as like hot people in Japan.
They are definitely they are considered like very sexy by Japanese women.
Wow, really?
Yep. Did I mention I'm a star over there?
Yeah. They make you look like a dwarf. No offense, but
They do. They certainly do. Look, I can fit under one of their armpits. Some of those guys are, and certainly Aki Bono, who is frighteningly not that much smaller than the Big Show.
yeah,
Not even
they're
shorter.
pretty equal.
Yeah, I mean, he might be 3 inches shorter, but he's not by much. And he just kind of goes down. I'm not going to use the analogy that immediately came to mind, but he kind of goes down pyramid-wise, you know, and he just gets thicker as you go down virtually. So he's something.
Yes.
I think was he the first non-Japanese grand champion?
Really?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow. I was reading that he won a K1 match this weekend or something.
Yeah, you know what? He's huge.
Yeah.
That's going to win it against some people, and there's going to be some people who he's going to be huge against, and they're going to kick his butt all over the place.
Yeah.
What is grand champion? What is the word for grand champion for
K1?
Yokozuna.
Yokozuna?
That would be Yokozuna is the term for grand champion.
Is it really?
Yeah, see, that's what that meant when Yokozuna was Yokozuna. And he passed away too, didn't he?
He did.
They're decomposing composers. There's fewer of them left every year.
He's
You can talk to Beethoven, but he's unlikely to hear.
That's true. He's amongst the family of The Rock and.
Yep, that's right. He is of the Ayakea clan in some way or another.
Yeah.
And the Samoans, the wild Samoans.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
I think he's Rikishi's
Don't be tapping that. Yeah, there's some kind of relationship there. I'm not exactly sure what it is. You know, I've talked more on this show than I've ever talked on one of these episodes in my life.
Really interesting. I'm glad I got it in tape.
Seriously, normally Dan's telling the world about everything. Okay, Chris, you know what? I am going to let you go and see if anyone can sneak in another call.
All right, well, thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.
You're very welcome, and thank you. And what I'm hoping is Ken Bukes is out there and can give us a call.
There you go. Bye.
Take it easy, Chris. Bye, April. Bye, Sandy. And you know what? They're good people.
We are.
Yes, they are. Now,
Yes.
Did you think of that name yet?
What name?
The name of the executioner.
The last executioner, I believe, was Rikishi. He wore the red getup? The red leather getup stuff? Oh, it's the name of another one. Well, you know, nobody's ever used that name before, so there's probably only about 300 people who could be the executioner. It's like Mr. X. Those are always a good one. You know what? I don't know exactly. I can't think of who it might have been. Was that what he called himself, though, the executioner? I can't remember. You know what? That would involve me watching and caring about the WWE in a way that I just can't. Let's get Dylan in the picture. He was, after all, Personality of the Year this year. Yeah, well, there's your trophy.
Close up. You can read it.
That's not Greg Simino. You guys are good. You know, you could lose the graphic till it's right. Okay, Dylan, you're very clever. Now put it down. Okay, obviously the graphics part is going to be something we're going to have a refresher course on. I'm only teasing them. They've done a fantastic job tonight. Why, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be on here tonight. So
Have a look now.
that is amazing. Wow. So 45
thanks
minutes
to
after
Scott.
he's on, we got the
job,
graphic. That's
Scott.
pretty darn good. Now you lose there. That's better. You know what? You guys have done such a good job that you'll be doing this again next week. I don't know if I will be,
I
but
feel
you
honored
guys
to
will.
have my job still.
Well, you know what? You can be fired by Carl. I don't fire people. We don't have enough people who want to be here. And quite honestly, you guys have done a stalwart job. For the first time being thrown in, I'm impressed. I'll tell you right now, though, the two of you, you're no Sam Hogan's.
Just give us some time. Just give us some time.
That's right. You guys are going to be able to step up to the plate and be fantastic. I can feel it. I mean, the two of you combined are just, you're going to be a house of fire. Look at all the work you're going to get doing just by doing Carl's show. Just, you know, never mind. So anyway, Bill, do you have anything to say where we could actually hear you?
Someone please call us.
Now, someone left a cake out in the rain.
We're going to have to talk later.
What is the age limit on that?
What age limit? What are we talking about? It's all gone horribly awry. Where's Dan when we need him? Oh. I don't know.
For what though?
Congratulations.
Producer of the
Dylan.
year. What's that?
Congratulations to Dylan.
Thank you very much. Bill just said congratulations to you. Now put
Thank
this
you, Bill.
down. Anyway,
Where's yours?
I didn't win any this year.
He wasn't even nominated for anything.
I wasn't even nominated.
That's
Some
because
jackass
last
did the
year he
nomination.
dropped out of the ballot. He requested that he dropped out of the ballot.
No, we didn't request.
He-
Dan and I don't request. Dan and I demand.
Either
And
way,
that's
he
the way
wouldn't have
things
gotten
happen.
nominated.
But one thing we can tell you is we're going to be here next week as well. And if you want to call in, absolutely between 9 and 10 in any location where you might be from 9 or 10 Eastern time. If you call that number, that if it was up there, people might be able to know it. You just got it up, didn't you? Right as I said it. I saw that, actually. Having said that, has it been up yet during the whole show?
It was up briefly earlier.
Sure it was.
It was.
Briefly, as in like, for what, 2 seconds?
Well, in between
This is a call-in show. In order to have calls, it requires people to know the number. Where are all the Boston sports fans?
Everyone that's going to call already knows the number.
No. We have new fans. We're growing every day, man.
How can you call when you're on the phone with somebody else for 45 minutes?
Shh, you're right. I do know that's the case. Hey, but it was an excellent call, wasn't it? That was a good call. Frazier came in, stepped up to the plate, and hit a home run.
Frazier was a very true fan of wrestling.
He sure was. You know what would be better is if anyone could hear you. Is he going out at a stronger level than he is coming in here? Bill? Because, if he's going to do all this talking, someone at home ought to know that I'm not just talking to myself.
There's some feedback.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
That would be feedback. You are correct. Now, what that means is you're probably sending our mics back in here as well. So make sure ours aren't going to 3 and 4.
They're doing their best.
No, I'm just giving him a tip. I'm not being a jerk this time. Phone call.
All right, let's go.
All right, we got to get ready. We got to be serious now, Dylan. Hello, caller.
That's a good one.
Be patient.
I can hear you now. Do we have a caller? Stop that. Stop dancing up there. We got 2 minutes left? But we have to carry on a little longer. We have to carry on, my wayward sons, a few extra minutes to make sure the show is actually an hour long. I can't see you. Well, now I can. I lowered my glass enough. Hello, Michael from Plymouth.
What's up? What's up, Ricky? How you doing?
I'm doing very fine, and you?
I'm not doing too bad. I just wanted to talk about the Sox real quick.
Absolutely.
Glad they're staying at Fenway. I'm glad they're not going to move them anywhere else,
I love Fenway Park. The only thing I would say is how many more... The one thing about staying at Fenway, which is negative for us, is it means the ticket prices are going to continue to go up, and it is a small ballpark. It's almost impossible to get tickets to go.
Yeah, plus, it's just got so much history,
Yeah, that's the upside, definitely, and especially since they won the championship there last year. And does it ever get old? Does it ever get old? I wake up sometimes thinking about the ground ball back to Folk and the throw to first base and Mankiewicz jumping in the air. That one, and of course, the ground ball to Pokey that ends the Yankee series.
Why do they trade Mankiewicz? Why do they trade Orlando?
Cabrera left on free agency. They signed Edgar Renteria, who is an upgrade.
Who is a great shortstop.
Yeah, he sure is. I'm not sure he's any better defensively than Cabrera, but he's a little more dangerous offensively. I'm not sure if he's as much better as the number they paid, but there were also rumblings that maybe Cabrera wasn't such a good clubhouse guy.
Do we still have Pokey?
No, Pokey went somewhere else. I can't remember where, though, at this point.
He was like awesome.
Yeah, he's a utility player, though. You can't fall in love with that.
He was really fast.
Anything else?
So, did I see you guys won an award?
He won an award. This one won an award. What's that about?
Now, what exactly went on? Was there an award ceremony this evening?
Yes, this evening there was the PACCIE Awards. They'll be replaying on Channel 13 several times over the next few weeks. But yeah, he won the Cable Personality of the Year.
No kidding.
How about that? Yeah, I mean, obviously the voting was stacked. He paid people. I'm betting. I'm going to check his bank account. I bet he took all his money and started paying people to vote for him.
Well, why didn't Pump Up the Music win an award?
Pump Up the Music did win an award.
You're kidding.
Pump Up the Music won, was it entertainment? I believe it won the entertainment award, edging out Metal Storm.
No way.
It sure did.
What is Metal? Oh yeah.
You know, I gotta tell you that the TV station down there, they guys have some great programs.
Well, thank you. The unfortunate thing is, this isn't one of them.
Oh, you got a good show.
Oh, well, thank you.
You have a very entertaining.
Thank you very much, Mike.
But congratulations on everything.
Well, thank you very much.
And just like to say, go Sox again.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to opening day when they get their rings against the Yankees.
That's just the best thing ever, isn't it? That is the best thing ever. That they're doing that.
We should send a whole crew, everyone that we could possibly get from this area, to go and harass the Yankees.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the funny thing is, there might even be tickets available for opening day in Yankee Stadium. Of course, that would take a whole bunch of people, so you might survive.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun, though.
That's great. I can't wait for next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're less than a month away. What are we, 2 weeks away? April 3rd's opening day.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. It just seems like
the problem is that
it sure does.
We'll have a harder time winning the World Series again because now they have Randy Johnson.
By the phrase "harder time," do you mean it might take 85 years? I mean, you know, it
might take another at least.
It's gonna be. It's always tough. Baseball
because they have Randy Johnson though.
Yep, baseball is the toughest sport in essence. Even though the Yankees did it so many times, it's the toughest sport in essence to repeat in, particularly in years gone by, because you had to win outright during the regular season to even make the playoffs.
Right.
It's not like hockey or basketball where if you show up and don't lose every game, you're in the playoffs. So.
Absolutely. All right, Ricky, I just wanted to call and say congratulations.
All right, and you
See
take
you,
it
Mike.
easy, and congratulations to you, because I believe you are part of Pump Up the Music, aren't you?
My what?
Are you part of Pump Up the Music?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then I was wrong. It happens once a night. There's my chance.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for calling. How we doing for time? Did he say what I think he said? You know, I knew he was going to do that. I knew from the very beginning that we were in for some trouble, but it was, you know what? This is, what have we said before? If you make a worthwhile call, and then at the very end you do that, you drop an F-bomb or something, what can you say? He talked to me for what, 5 minutes? Did he realize, were we still on the air when he did that, or were we already off? Nah, that's a shame. Well, looks like we'll be editing that out before it goes into the replay. How many more minutes of this debacle do we have? No. How many minutes in are we? Well, you know what? Why don't we think about at any point now? We probably have about 2 minutes. You know what? It doesn't matter if the show's cut off. It really, I mean, it's going to be horrible cut off or in full length. What I want to make sure is that we leave the studio a complete disaster for Dustin in the morning. That's very important to me. Anyway, at any point you can start running the I know that. At any point we can start running the credits, and we'll say goodnight for tonight. And hopefully Dan will be back next week. Dylan won't. He's got Boy Scouts. He's going for that eagle. Yeah. Here you go. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.